All right. Well, sure, good to see everybody, and we appreciate you all being here. Um, Today, we are going to be talking about parental support in esports. And so, my name's Greg, but I'm more known by my tag, which is Kirby Dad. And
And my name is Luke, and I'm known in the gaming community as
Kirby Kid.
yeah, so yeah, this is Kirby Kid. His name is up on the television. That's not me. So, just a little bit about who we are and what brought us to this point in life. In fact, 6 years ago today, or 6 years ago this weekend, he was 13 years old, and we were here at Comic Con. And on the Friday night, they were running a tournament for Smash Brothers, and he asked if he could join. And I was like, sure, yeah, why not? The reason that came about was because when he was about 2 years old, he got his first computer. I work in IT, so I took an old computer, fixed it up for him, and he started gaming literally at about 2 years old. And so, to the time he was 13, all of his gaming took place at home. But then when he asked to play in the tournament here at Comic Con, sure, why not? So he played in the Friday night tournament and he came out second and he won $50. And so we were back on Saturday and there was another tournament, but you had to pre qualify. Well, he didn't, but some of the people who had pre qualified never showed up. So they asked him if he would be in the tournament. And he did, and he won. And he won $400. So in a couple of days, he won $450. And we were driving home from Comic Con, and I can remember it just like it happened today. He's all excited. He's 13 years old, and he's like, Dad, I'm going to be a professional gamer. Okay, let's do it. And so we found out about tournaments here in Louisiana, locals, weeklies, things like that. So we got involved in the competitive scene known as esports. And so he's been competing since he's been 13 years old. He's now 19, and so esports has been a big part of our lives over the past 6 years. And so we're here to encourage, especially parents, to support their kids when it comes to esports. Now, first, I have sort of a general principle. It's this: support your kids no matter what. Okay, if you have kids, if you're one day you're going to have kids, my encouragement is whatever avenue in life your kid wants to pursue, support them and encourage them. Okay, and so that's like an umbrella over all of this. I'm gonna talk specifically about esports, but in general, support your kids. To any parent, to every parent, any kids, wherever they want to go in life, whatever they want to do, be there for them and support them and encourage them. But specifically, we're going to talk about esports because that's where we are. And so I encourage parents to support their kids who are interested in and look to pursue esports. Now, I'm going to keep using the term esports, and I guess I can't assume everybody knows what it is. So you do know esports is video games being played at a competitive level. Yes, that's a real thing. It's a big industry. And so there are people who compete in various video games. And so I encourage parents to support their kids in esports. And so what I'd like to share with you is a few reasons why. Why should a parent encourage their kids or support their kids in esports? Well, first, obviously, esports is a viable industry, and we're talking about billions of dollars spent worldwide in the gaming industry. And so everything from gaming computers and hardware and software all the way to consoles and console games, esports is a big deal. It's a worldwide industry, billions of dollars. It's not just a bunch of kids sitting in a room wasting time. So it's a viable industry. It's not just the future, it's now and the future. And so esports, good viable industry. Now a more a more subjective reason I like esports is because of what it's done for us. So when he started competing, you remember now he's 13 years old, he doesn't drive. And we live in Louisiana and we live more on the coast. So we have to drive everywhere. So we had an hour drive to New Orleans for tournaments. We had a 2-hour drive to Baton Rouge. We have a 2-hour drive to Lafayette. But all of that time is just he and I. We're in the car together. We're talking. We're spending time together. I didn't have to try to manufacture spending time with my son because we were in the car at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, going to tournaments. And so I would never trade that time for anything. If he never would have made it to where he is today in esports, that would have been okay. Because the time I had with him. And so we not only traveled in the state of Louisiana, we started traveling, we went to Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, Houston. We went to tournaments in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Atlanta. Those are all the places that we've driven. And so again, I got my son. We're in the car together. We have time. And so just the time I got with him, it's been worth it for me. That we have uninterrupted time to spend, to get to know each other, father, son, be friends. All of this was a big thing for me. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And it means a lot to me as well, being able to spend as much time with my dad that I can, you know. Really to have that sort of close connection to your parent, not just like to say they're your parent, but also your best friend. You know, it's really, it means everything to me.
Yeah, so if it ended there, I'm good with it. But there's more to esports. I mean, I'm grateful for esports, and I'm grateful for the time it allowed Kirby Kid and I to spend together. Again, I will never trade it. I will never forget it. The memories we have, as he moves on in life and moves out and does his thing, I will never lose what we gained through esports. But look, like anything else that kids get involved in, okay, kids play football, baseball, basketball, the traditional sports. Kids get involved in art like theater or acting, singing, whatever. I mean, kids pursue all kinds of things, right? Well, esports is just as valuable as any of these other pursuits. And like the other pursuits, esports, you have a sense of community, right? So my son is meeting new people, new gamers, making new friends everywhere we go. And so there's a sense of community. Now, I know you have that with everything. I'm sure if we have football players here, they would say there's a sense of community in the locker room, right? And they make friends for life. Baseball players, they're all going to tell us the same thing. Well, it's true in esports as well. Sense of community. So I know my son is regularly around peers, people his age, around his age, and they have a common interest. They're like-minded. And so esports has brought him into this community, into all of these friends and all of these people. And so again, I wouldn't trade that for anything because I know we've made friends that we'll have for a lifetime. And so, in that aspect, like any other aspect of anything social, esports has been really good. Especially, we meet a lot of kids that are struggling with things like anxiety. And I know my son at times has some anxiety issues, but I get him to a tournament. You get into a room with a bunch of kids his age, around his age, and they're all playing. Yeah, the anxiety kind of goes away. He's comfortable in that environment and in that setting. So,
And with a lot of kids today, video gaming has become an escape or kind of just like a comfort to them, because whether it be like not doing well in school, not really like comfortable hanging around people at school and stuff like that. So going to like video games to just kind of like help handle that. So then going to tournaments and meeting other kids who go through the same thing as you're going through, you instantly connect, and the fear, the anxiety just dissipates, and it's like you've known that person for years. The amount of times I've gone to tournaments, I've met someone never seen in my whole entire life. We sit down, we play a game, and it's like we've been best friends for 10 years because it's just that easy to connect to each other through video game and esports.
exactly. So again, like any community, yeah, there's pros and cons, there's good and bad, but overall, the esports community has been really good to us, to my son, to our family, and again, we've made friends that we'll have, for the rest of our life. So it is a good, viable industry. The time it's afforded me with my son, the community. But look, here's the thing: esports is productive. Now, that's the number one thing when I talk to parents. They want to know if is it productive. It is. Okay, so it's not just a kid sitting in a room wasting hours every day. Yes, my son played hours and hours of games leading up to his first tournament. So, but it wasn't a waste of time because esports have been productive for him. Like any other sport, you learn life lessons. In any competition, I think you learn life lessons. You have to learn how to win. You have to have those attitudes and that confidence. But same thing with losing. You have to learn how to lose. You can't be salty. That's what the kids call it, right? You can't be salty. You have to learn how to take your loss as a lesson, build upon it, learn, grow, and keep on. And so he's learning life lessons, how to handle life, how to handle the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, the winnings and the losing. And so life lessons have been good for us, for him, in the esports community. I'm gonna just be honest, okay? Financially, yeah, it's been productive for him. So I mean, he started competing when he was 13 years old, and by the time he's getting older, and getting really good, and the better he gets, then what starts happening? Well, you start winning this local tournament, and you win that local tournament, or you place in the top 3 or top 5, top 8, and next thing you know, there's some prize money involved. And so at a time when he wasn't old enough to even have a part-time job, he was making good money every week playing esports, playing a video game in a competitive scene. And so that's not where the financials is not just limited to winning tournaments. There's a lot of financial avenues in esports, right? A lot of esports players, they do things like content creation. They will stream, they will put their stuff on YouTube, things like that. All that can generate revenue for a kid while he's still in high school. So financially, it's been good for him. So he's done good. But let me also be honest. What do most parents want to think? They want to think that their kid is going to be productive, go to college. Well, he has about 5 scholarship offers from colleges and universities from Boston, Pennsylvania, Grand Rapids, Michigan, couple in Louisiana. He's been offered scholarships because why? Colleges and universities have bought into the viability of esports. And they have esports teams. The esports team is generating money for the college. So what does the college do? Turn around and give scholarships to kids for playing a video game. So if you're from my generation, I'm 53, that's crazy. That my kid can go to college free or almost free from playing a video game. But that's esports. It's a viable, competitive industry. And so, look, it could lead into a career, right? Just like any other sport. So like, okay, football. I don't know what the number is, but like how many kids make it to the NFL? I'm guessing that's a pretty small number, right? Of kids that get into junior high football, high school football, that make it to college. Then how many make it to the pros? It's a small number. But those same kids, they might not make it to the pros, but football can lead to a career, right? They can pursue athletic training, coaching. I mean, I don't know what all the jobs related, but there are a lot of jobs related to the game of football. Esports is the same way. A lot of career paths that somebody can take getting into esports. Actually competing can be a career path for some. Content creation is a career path. It helps with college for a career path. A kid might get interested in designing games. Next thing you know, or if they're artistic, they're starting to do the artwork for games. If they're more mathematically, scientifically oriented, then they might get into programming and actually making the games. So there's a lot of career paths that esports can lead to. And so my heart is to encourage parents. Don't write off esports. Kids competing in video games, don't write it off as a waste of time. It's not. It's very productive. It's a viable industry. It's given me time with my son that I'll never get, I'll never regret the hours that we spent together, on and on. I'm going to kind of close with this thought, with the last reason why I think parents should support their kids who want to pursue esports. One of the main reasons is because your kids want you to. They want you to support them in esports. You know how I know? I've talked to them. No, I might not have talked to your kids, but in the last 6 years, I've probably talked to conservatively 500 kids. And the conversation with these 500 kids all over the country pretty much go the same way. They come find me, they know who I am, they know who we are. They're thanking me for being so supportive and encouraging and on and on. And then the conversation always turns to in the same direction. They always tell me, I wish my parents would have done that. I wish my parents would have let me compete. I wish my parents would have brought me to the local tournaments. I wish my parents wouldn't have blew me off. I hear that over and over and over. And when I tell you the 500 kids I've talked to, 99% of them told me the same thing. I wish my parents would have been there. I wish my parents would have supported it. I wish they wouldn't have considered it just a hobby or just a waste of time. And so I'm telling parents, you know why you should support your kids in esports? Because if that's what they're interested in, they want you to support them. They want you there for them. Now, what you do to support them, that's up to you. I know what I did. Not everybody can do what I did. I understand that. I devoted a lot of time to his esports career. Some parents are limited in the time. I understand that. I get that. I know what it's like. I'm busy. But whatever you can do, I promise you, your kids want you to support them. And I'll tell this story. We were at a tournament one night, and I walked out of the venue just to walk outside, get some air. And a guy followed me outside. He's a grown man, big guy too. And he calls me over to talk to him. And right away, I see the tears in his eyes. And he's starting to cry. And he said, Kirby, Dad, my whole school career, I played rugby. My dad never showed up to one match. In junior high, in high school, he said in high school we made it to the state championship or whatever it's called in rugby. He said my dad never came. He never saw me play rugby once. He said, but I see you here every week. You bring in your son. And he said, you're not just bringing him and sitting in the background, you bring him, you're watching, you're cheering, you're involved. And this grown man, he's crying, telling me this. And look, I was crying by the time his story was over. I was crying myself because my heart was broken, because what was he asking for? All he was asking was for his dad to just go watch one rugby match. I know we're all busy, but you don't have time for one? It broke my heart. So when I'm telling parents, and I am encouraging them to let their kids get involved in esports and to do any and everything you can to support them, I'm doing it because I know. I've heard from them. Your kids want your support. So, you have anything else you want to say?
No, yeah, I mean, just simply like, because you can always get support from your friends or other people in the esports community, and that's always amazing, you know, with everything like that. But to have your parents actively wanting to do what you want to do and support what you're wanting to do, it's a whole different feeling. It's a whole just very like heartwarming, you know, being able to have be able to say like my dad, my mom wants me to do this. You know, it's amazing.
All right, so there is a mic out on the floor, so if anybody has any kind of questions or comments, before we end it, we can take any kind of questions or comments. Right. All right. Not everybody run to the mic at one time. No. Well, listen, we do appreciate the time y'all have spent sitting here listening. If it's applicable to you, please support your kids if they are interested in video games and in pursuing that into competition and esports. If you know of any kids, if you have any family members, and this subject ever comes up, I hope you get a little bit from what we've talked about and encourage them. Let them pursue this avenue if it's something that they are interested in.
Yeah. And
So-
even if it's not something that they're really interested in, if you ever like walk by their room and see them they're playing this game or anything, walk up and just ask, like, what you playing? Like,
Exactly.
if it's and they tell you what the game is. Ask questions like, what are you doing? Is there an objective? You just doing this for fun? Is it competitive? Whether it's competitive or not, just gauging more with your child and their interests, and getting
Exactly.
to know it more so that you can talk to them more about it and engage in conversations about that. Like, oh, the other day I saw you playing this game, and then I started looking up videos on it, and it looks really fun. Like, have you gotten to this part yet? Or whatever it may be. It's just gauging with each other and just finding the interest that they're interested in and pursuing that with them.
Exactly. And look, parents tell me all the time, well, I don't know how to play the game. That's okay. Pick up the controller and just mash buttons. Like he plays a fighting game. Okay, I don't know the game that well, but I can pick up a controller and mash buttons. So, but I agree. So if your kid's interested in video games, don't write them off. Don't blow them off. Don't think it's a waste of time. Use it to spend time with them. Play the game. Watch them play the game. So I promise I don't think you'll regret the time spent. Nope. Very good. All right. Well, we appreciate it. We thank you all for the time. All right.